Good morning. Boop-a-doop-boop-boop-boop-boo. Uh, wow. So I have not given a sermon in a long time. So it's good to see you all, and hope you've been enjoying the weather, I guess. So the title of my sermon is "The Importance of Praying and Not Thinking About Yourself All the Time." That was the shortest I could get that title. Basically, what I'm going to be talking about is some things that have happened to me in the past few months that I've learned a lot of lessons from. So I'm just gonna jump right in. So I'm gonna start with a little introduction because it helps to understand the rest of my story. So what I do for a living is I make animations, and I work with like 20 other animators, and we make these animations, we put them on YouTube, and they get a lot of views, and that's how I make a living, through like the advertisements on the videos. And these videos get a lot of views, and it's kind of mind blowing how many views they're getting, because I did the math. Well, I mean, first of all, I get about 50 to 100 million views every month, and that's like 3 million views a day. And if you, thank you. If you, so the Ohio State Stadium seats 105,000 people. So imagine that you had 31 back-to-back concerts that were sold out. That would be happening every single day, all watching these videos. So it kind of, it's still just numbers on the screen, but I, it's a lot. But I am very grateful that I have this ability to make a living doing this, and having so many people get to enjoy it. And I really wouldn't rather be doing anything else. And so I have a nice career, and I have a wonderful family. You guys know my wonderful wife, Carrie, and my two kids, Benny and Emily, who I love very, very, very much. They've helped teach me about God's love for me, because I see them and I understand that's what God, how God sees me. So I have a wonderful career, I have a wonderful family, yet something felt missing. This was like earlier this year. I felt like I had not so many people to relate to, because I make these videos for millions of people, but I don't know anyone else who makes videos for millions of people. And so I wanted YouTuber friends, essentially. And the problem was that I never left my house ever since I started doing this. I've been doing all these animations just in my house. I never get out there and network or make friends or anything. And I started doing this in 2014, and up until 2019, I never got went out there. But 2019, I went to my first VidCon, and VidCon is where all of the big content creators and YouTubers go, and all their fans, and that's where you can, like, YouTubers meet each other and YouTubers meet their fans, and it's all happy and good. And but the thing is, even though I get the same amount of views, or often more views than a lot of these people that I wanted to meet, they wouldn't recognize me because I never put my face in my videos. And so they treated me just like another fan, and they would just be friendly and smile and wave, and and then, and then end the conversation and walk away. And this was happening to me so many times, and I was like really desperate to make a connection, and not be brushed off by these people that I wanted to meet. So I wanted to reassure these YouTubers that I was one of them before they brushed me off. So the best thing I could think of was to tell them how many subscribers I had right at the beginning of the conversation. So my strategy was to go up to them and say, "Hey, are you so-and-so? Nice to meet you. I'm Alan Becker. I have 19 million subscribers, and I'm a huge fan." that was my strategy. And one of the guys that I ended up meeting was a guy named Markiplier. Some of the young people probably know who this is. He's one of the biggest and most famous YouTubers who's been on YouTube for a really long time. And when I happened to notice him standing behind me, he was wearing a mask, but because he's so famous, I knew who he was. I just seized the opportunity and I introduced myself. And I was like, hey, are you Markiplier? He was like, yes, sir. And I said, oh, I'm Alan Becker. I have 19 million subscribers. I'm a huge fan. And we had a conversation. And it turns out he had seen my videos before, and so it was nice and great. And then the shuttle came and we split ways, and that was that. And I was like, cool. I got to meet Markiplier. I'm so glad that my strategy is working. And then he uploaded a video on his channel that gave me anxiety for a few months. In this video, he was playing a video game with one of his friends, and they were just talking about whatever they wanted to talk about. And at some point, he mentioned how someone walked up to him at VidCon and immediately told him how many subscribers they had, and he thought that was really strange, and that I would use my numbers to prove that I was worthy to talk to him. And he even mentioned who I was. So that affected me really, 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 really hard. I struggle with social anxiety, and also he was kind of like broadcasting to millions of people that I was this egotistical, selfish person who just wanted to use his numbers to get to him. And the last thing I wanted to be known for was being selfish or being awkward. And so this was a huge hit to my self-esteem, even though it was, from an outsider's point of view, kind of a minor thing, just like someone weird coming up to someone, but like it really did affect me for a long time. And so I went into this downward spiral of negative self-talk and started listening to audiobooks about like self-help audiobooks like The Power of Now and Code of the Extraordinary Mind, which I recommend highly. But they got me, they did help, but they didn't, the relief was always minor and temporary. But what ended up actually helping me the most was just deciding to pray. This is my picture for prayer, I don't know. What I think about. So for whatever reason, I hadn't thought of just praying, and I hadn't prayed for a while for whatever reason. But since the self-help books weren't helping me very much, I just decided to give it a shot. And I'd had success with praying in the past, and usually the way that I pray is the most effective method is to just stop talking and quiet my mind and just start listening and listen for whatever God might be trying to say. And so I asked God what he thought about what I said to Markiplier, and the answer that I got blew my mind. This is what he said. So it blew my mind that he thought that me going up to this YouTuber was cute, because I had been just trying to solve this problem all by myself, but God was right there, just like my parent, just like ready to embrace me. And the other reason it blew my mind was because I pictured my own daughter. What if my own daughter had gone up to one of her friends and said something weird, and then that friend thought it was really weird and told all of her other friends that Emily said something weird, and then Emily got all self-conscious and all sad and went into a negative downward spiral of self-talk. I would have zero judgment towards her or any kind of like feelings of like, oh, that was weird, you shouldn't have done that. I would only want to hug her. I would think that I would be so proud of her that she went out of her comfort zone to like try something new and make new connections, and it's just crazy that this concept or thought never crossed my mind the whole time I was trying to solve this problem up until the point that I prayed. And it also made me realize that we have something really special in our teachings, that that God is our parent, and that the family is a school of love where you can understand, you grow your heart through having a family, because really, like, being a parent, I love my kids so much, and if you're not a parent, you don't understand how much love that is. And if you don't know how much love that is, you don't understand how much love God also has for you. And so, you know, those two things, God is our parent and um, family is the school of love, are really special in our teachings. So, a little praying 101 lesson for the kids, I guess. I don't know. So this is just how what has worked for me. Everyone has a different way to pray, but um, basically, you just have to remember that God is not up in the sky or inside the picture of true parents that's sitting on the altar, which is literally what I thought for a long time. But God is inside you. He's inside me. And so God speaks to you through your original mind and your intuition. And so when you quiet your mind and you stop thinking, then God can speak to you. And if you want an answer to a specific question, then ask the question and quiet your mind. I think True Father has a way to describe this as being like level, completely level, or I forget, I'm gonna misquote it, but like no bias in your thinking, but also just like just being quiet, I think, is also a good way to say it. Sometimes I have to ask the question and wait several times because I can't get my mind to be quiet, and you won't hear anyone actually talking. The answer will come to you as if it were your own thought, but you'll know if it's coming from God because your intuition will tell you. That's just been my experience. So, I felt like that Markiplier drama and my self-esteem had been fixed and cured completely, but that's what I thought. But when he released that video, I realized, oh, he wasn't the only person that I said that to. And there were other people that had probably gotten weirded out. So this is Colin and Samir. They're kind of smaller, but they are YouTubers for YouTubers. They make videos that teach other YouTubers to do well and tips and tricks, and they interview lots of YouTubers, and they were another pair of people that I had gone up to and said, "Oh my God, are you Colin and Samir? I'm Alan Becker. I have 19 million subscribers. I'm such a big fan." And they were like, "Wow, we're on a phone call actually. Are you gonna be around?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be around." And I never saw him again. But I thought at the time, like, okay, yeah, wow, I got to meet them. That's awesome. But then I realized, oh no, they think I'm really weird. So I did see them again several months later at another convention called Vid Summit, and I saw the opportunity to clear up the awkwardness of that moment. And so I went up to them and I said, "Hey, you remember the guy that went up to you and said that one of the first things they said was they have 19 million subscribers?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And I said, "I'm sorry if that was weird." And they were like, No. But they didn't say anything else. And you know what that means. Like, they're kind of lying. But then one of them, Colin, turns to me and he starts making small talk and just like trying to, say stuff like, "Oh, how's the convention going for you? Blah blah blah." And but then like I realized like I had nothing else prepared and I just froze. I was just like staring into the space and just like answering quick answers and like realizing I didn't know what I was actually wanting to say to them. And then the conversation ended, and then they went their own way, I went mine, and I went right back into that negative downward spiral of feeling like, oh no, I'm awkward, oh no, I'm selfish. So I had hoped to redeem my first awkward conversation with a good conversation, but I piled on another awkward conversation, and I felt so embarrassed. So I did another thing, another round of praying and talking to God, and I got another revelation that I I had been trying to control the things that were outside of my control. The main thing being other people's perceptions of me, particularly about being selfish. And there's no way I can control what other people think about me. And I thought, what can I control? Well, I can control how unselfish of a person I actually am. And it's such a simple thought, but that blew my mind. Like, wait, oh, I can be invincible by just always being unselfish. No one can ever rightfully accuse me of anything if I'm actually just being a good person all the time. And when I thought about this, I realized that I had actually been kind of selfish when I was going up to these people, and that's why I had so much shame and so many feelings of weirdness. And because I didn't actually care how Markiplier was doing. I just wanted to be recognized by him and be associated with him. And Colin and Samir, I didn't actually really care about how they were doing. I just wanted them to know who I was and interview me on their show, and be associated with them. But I didn't care about how they were doing. And I feel like they probably picked up on that. So I tried out being unselfish, and this new, basically I was like, okay, wait, let me see if I can try out being unselfish at the next like social gathering that I go to, and I just stopped focusing on what I want to get out of going here, and instead focused on being a blessing to everyone around me, and whoever happened to come into my path, I would just be a blessing to them. And it just made a huge difference. I felt more talkative. I felt less nervous. I just felt overall happier because I took the focus off of me and put it on others. It was pretty liberating. It's so much easier to be unselfish than to be selfish and try to hide it all the time. It's so much more work. It's liberating. It gives you confidence. It feels good. It makes others happy as well. I mean, we teach living for the sake of others all like all my whole life, and yet it took this life experience for me to actually click. Um, so there is this concept that most people in the world have, which is that everyone is separate from each other. And this is a concept that Satan taught us or wants us to think that we're all separate individuals and that we need to protect ourselves. Basically, this selfishness that came at the fall caused basically all the suffering in the world since the beginning of humanity. But I have an analogy that I made up involving mushrooms. We are all like mushrooms, and above the ground it seems like we are separate from each other, but under the ground there is a whole web that connects all of us to each other. It's actually like we are all one big mushroom. And imagine that the one big mushroom is God, and we are each unique manifestations of God's unique characteristics. We are all God, and each one of us is a piece of God. And the thing is, because of the fall, something poisoned that like connection to the rest of the web. So right at the root, there's like a poison, and so we don't perceive the rest of the mushroom, and we just think we're all separate, and we attack the other mushrooms or judge the other mushrooms or try to protect ourselves from the other mushrooms, but we don't realize we're all the same mushroom. And so when we see past, when we heal that poison and see the whole mushroom, we can get over that and connect to the oneness of everyone else and find true strength and confidence. Yeah, it's funny. We try to, it's like you can't change the other mushrooms because you're a mushroom, you can't move. You can only change yourself. my analogy. So, lessons. Next time you feel anxious or nervous about what you can get from someone or a situation, remember to pray, to empty your mind, to listen to God through your intuition, and remember to be unselfish, to focus on what you can give, how you can be a blessing, and remember that we are all one big mushroom. So, these were the things that I learned from my awkward conversations with some YouTubers, and I hope you gained something from my experiences, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you.